Welcome back. You are looking at pictures of a spacewalk happening outside the International Space Station moments ago. Astronauts Kate Rubins and Jeff Williams are installing a docking adapter that will allow companies such as Boeing and SpaceX to shuttle crew to the space station. Joining us right now is former astronaut Eileen Collins. Eileen, great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to be here.
You were the first woman ever to command a space shuttle mission. What are your thoughts on what today means for the future of space travel?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about today. This docking adapter that you mentioned is going to allow us to go from the shuttle era to commercial crew area. The place they're putting it is very similar to where the space shuttle was, but now we're going to be coming up in smaller spacecraft. NASA astronauts will again be launching from the United States. We won't have to go to Russia to get our astronauts to our space station, but they'll be launching out of Florida on SpaceX's aircraft and spacecraft and Boeing spacecraft, and this should be happening, we think, in about 1.5 to 2 years. We don't have the exact dates yet, but it's going to be a huge step for our space program, going from everything operated by NASA to now operating with the commercial space industry. And it is a big deal.
We've got one of your biggest fans here in studio, Governor Mike Huckabee.
Colonel, I just want to first of all say I've been around a lot of politicians. They come dime a dozen, but astronauts are a rare breed, a special kind of hero. I'm delighted that we're not going to be hitchhiking on Russian spaceships. But tell me, how do we get Americans to understand that one of the greatest returns on investment the United States government ever made was in our space program, and all the things that came from that were incredibly valuable? Are we going to ever be able to go back to where we have not just private sector space exploration, but a serious endeavor on the part of the United States government?
Well, I think you really hit the strategic part of spaceflight right there. There are so many things we gain, things that are measurable, technology, for example, but also things that are not really that measurable, that are more strategic, like inspiring young people to choose careers in math and science and engineering, because heck, spaceflight, that's like Star Wars. We want to go to space, we want to explore, we want to go places that we haven't been before. We want to be innovative, we want to create, we want to discover, and these are things that really get us excited and get us motivated to go to space and do these new things. And I really believe that the United States is the leader in the world in space, because we are really an innovative culture, and we want to keep it that way. So, I go out and I talk to schools, and I talk to all kinds of groups of people, children as well as adults, and they're all excited about space, and they all want to learn more about the things that we're doing. You can actually look at all the research that we're doing on the space station on the human body. So we're learning a lot more about us as humans. We're also learning about planet Earth as we look back and we study the Earth from space, and we look out to the universe.
This is really interesting what you're raising here, and Governor, you make a great point, what the benefits have been of space travel, because people don't really understand, they don't connect the dots on that. So Eileen, talk to us about that. What do you think are the most important takeaways from space travel? What are the most important things that we have learned over these years?
Well, I think the most important thing, I believe, again, is strategic. It's exploration. Countries that lead in the world are countries that explore. And if you look at the history of the world, countries that explore are the leaders, they're the innovators, they're the discoverers. So the first is really intangible, but then when you get to the things that, as I mentioned, that can be measured, we like to talk about the studying of the human body in space. That is the #1 mission of the space station, is to learn what happens to the human body in space over long periods of time. So we have seen what happens to astronauts is similar to osteoporosis. We lose strength in our bones by being in space for long periods of time. We lose the strength in our cardiovascular system. We notice change in the shape of the eyeball. There's many other things that happen to astronauts, and there's a long duration study of astronaut health. So I think we're learning about ourselves as humans as kind of maybe one of the benefits of being explorers. We're also developing vaccines on the space station. We're growing protein crystals that are used to develop better medicines. Well, the space station, you don't hear a lot about this, but the space station is like a closed-loop life support system. All the water is recycled, the air is recycled, so we learn about really how to do these type of life support systems, and the technology can be used back here on Earth. The space shuttle had fuel cells, and now there's talk of fuel cell-powered cars. So these are some of the technology things that we're learning from space, And we make mistakes sometimes because we're doing things that haven't been done before.
Great stuff. Eileen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you, Eileen Collins, joining us.